Hi, everybody. My name is Lauren, and today I will be instructing you guys on creating the Be Mine and Love resin coasters. So, to begin, we do just want to ensure that we have our gloves on as well as our apron. And we also want to ensure that we are in a place or working on a surface that we are able to leave our resin coasters on top of. Resin coasters do take about 24 hours to cure. So we do just want to ensure that the place that we are working on or the surface that we are working on, we are able to leave our resin coasters on top of, or else we'll just have to move them very gently to another surface where they can cure. But resin coasters do take 24 hours to cure. So to begin, I will just go over supplies. So if you are going to create the Be Mine and Love resin coasters or either or, you may have received your molds as well as your accessories. So depending on the coaster that you are creating, you may have received a mixtures of pressed glitters as well as powders, as well as a gold sheet or gold flakes. So these are our accessories here that we will be using to create our two coasters. Aside from this, we also have our tweezer, as well as popsicle sticks to aid us during the process, as well as our resin bag, as well as our disposable placemat. So you may see here it is transparent, but with this placemat, you can also unstick the tabs underneath and stick them right onto the surface to help us in our process. For this project, we also will need just a pair of scissors just to open up our resin bags. So we will begin by ensuring that we have our gloves on, ensuring as well that we have our aprons on, and ensuring that we have a nice flat surface. We do have our accessories in front of us, and I will be making these two coasters during this video for instruction purposes, but I'm just going to set them to the side for now. And before I do so, I do just want to show you guys that with our coasters, as we're creating them, they will cure like this. So you will see that the back of the coaster, when it's in the mold, is acting as the front of the coaster. But once we take it out of the mold, we have our nice front. So as we're working on our project, if you are adding any additional supplies that you would like to be viewed on the front of the coaster, just ensure that you're placing it face down. So if you would like something to show at the front of the coaster here, just ensure that you're placing those accessories face down. For example, let's say if you are adding a photo to your coaster, your own little photo, and you want it to show at the top, just ensure that you're placing all of that face down into the coaster because this is our front, while this is our back of the coaster when it's in the mold. So to begin, I will just set our two sample coasters to the side. And I will lay out my accessories. It is your choice if you would like to use all of the accessories given or just some of the accessories, as well as how much accessories as well. So to begin, I'll have my two molds here, my tweezers, my popsicle sticks, and we will begin by first starting with our resin bag. So we do want to take our resin out of the bag, and we will have to mix our resin for 3 minutes. So I'm simply just cutting up my bag, just creating a nice opening for the resin bag to come out. And from here, I'm simply just taking my bag out. And what we have here is resin A and resin B on their individual sides. So what we want to do is mix the resins together to create a nice mixture that will harden within 24 hours. Just so you guys know, once the resin are mixed together, they will only be available to be used for about 45 minutes to an hour, or else after that, it will begin to harden and cure. So please begin the process once you're ready to dedicate time to really creating the two coasters. So I'm simply just going to take off this pink bar here. And from here, I'll simply also take up this white bar and I'll simply begin to mix both sides. And we want to do this for 3 minutes. So we will be mixing for 3 minutes. Just nice and gently mixing both sides for 3 minutes. And if you see that it begins to form a nice and cloudy mixture, just like this, that's exactly what we are looking for. That is showing that the chemicals are nice and mixing in. That's exactly what we're looking for. We are looking for that nice and cloudy mixture. So we're simply just mixing both sides for 3 minutes. Okay, so now we have our resin that is nice and mixed for 3 minutes. We have all of our liquid on one side. And what we want to do now is that we want to take our scissor and we just want to create an opening on the top corner. And it doesn't have to be a large opening, just nice where the resin is able to pour out from. And we have our nice opening right here. And if you need to cut a little more, it's also okay. So I'm just cutting a little bit more of an opening into the bag. So now that our bag has a nice opening to it, what we want to do is that we want to first prep our little molds. So like I said, I will be making both coasters, but the first step for both coasters are the same. What we want to do is that we want to create a nice first layer or a base layer on the molds. So what we want to do is fill each coaster with a little bit of resin just to ensure that it goes nice inside of the crevices as well as towards the middle. But just a little bit of resin, I will take my resin bag, begin to pour over very slowly, just ensuring that I'm getting nice and inside of the crevices and the corners and just drizzling a little bit on top, just like that. And then I'll do the same one with my next coaster, going around, as well as getting a little bit of resin in the middle. And all we're doing with this is creating a nice first layer. And this will act as our base layer. And then I will just lay my resin back down on the side. And what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to take a popsicle stick and I'm simply just going to spread the resin around for both coasters, just to ensure that the resin is all around. Just spreading it all around. And our next step, now that our molds are nice and prepped, is that we are going to prep our accessories. So to prep our accessories, what we're going to do is that I will first begin with the Be Mine coaster. And you see that it has some nice red glitter, a little bit of the pink glitter, silver, and red hearts. And what we want to do is prep these accessories with a little bit of resin before we begin to pour them inside. So I'm going to take the same popsicle stick that has a bit of resin and I'm just going to lay it down a little bit. And what I'm going to do is take my resin bag and just pour a little bit of resin into each cup that I would like to use on the accessory of. So let's say I do not want to use any silver hearts on my coaster, then what I'm going to do is just pour resin over my red glitter, pink glitter, and red hearts. And for this part, we do not need a lot of resin. What we want to do is simply just coat the accessories a little bit so they will blend better. So I'm simply just going to coat these and feel free to also remove any extra accessories if you would not like to use it all. And what I'm going to do next is simply just mix. So I'm gonna mix some resin with my glitters, and feel free to add a little bit more resin. We will also then add a top layer of resin as well. So just know that they will also be covered in resin. For this one, I'm just going to add a little bit more, but we are simply in this step just coating our accessories. Just to make sure that it's nice and coated with resin. And this will create a nice and seamless resin coaster. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this first accessory and I can begin to pour into my resin coaster. Just to show you guys how it may seem, you can take it and with your popsicle stick, begin to spread it around within the crevices. As for this Be Mine coaster, we see that the red edge all around with the red glitter. So simply just beginning to spread that around. And one thing about working with resin is that the accessories will continue to move and the resin will continue to move. So until the resin is completely cured in 24 hours, you may see that some of the accessories, some of the powder, some of the glitters may have begun to shift. And that is perfectly normal and perfectly okay, as resin will move until it is completely cured. So just beginning to fill my corners, just like that. And this is really the step until the last step, which is just the final layer. As you're prepping the accessories, you'll just be pouring them inside of the coaster and then continuing with each accessory of your desire. Remember that you are completely free to create your own designs as well. Um, I'm then going to mix a little bit of my hearts just to make sure they're nice and coated with the other end of that popsicle stick. And then I'm just going to mix a bit of my glitter as well. With this mixed, I'm then just going to mix and prep my stars, my hearts. And for these, it just has to be very lightly coated. So that will be enough resin. And then with the clean end of my popsicle stick, just going to mix it in. And then from here, it's simply about pouring inside of the mold. So I'll just begin with these hearts. And as you see, they're kind of like got a little clumped up together. So the kind of work with this, what we want to do is you can use a popsicle stick to spread them around, as well as the tweezers. So for more precision over the coaster, let's say you want to make a shape, you can go in with the tweezers for a little bit more precision and to be more precise. So kind of just spreading the hearts around. And then I'll bring in my red hearts as well. So same thing, using my popsicle stick, and I am just gonna mix them together a bit. just so they can have this nice confetti look. So I'm just going to spread them all around. Until I like the desired look. And please remember that it will continue to shift around the mold, the resin, the accessories will shift a bit. So they are nice and mixed. What I want to do now is I'm going to add just a bit of pink glitter. These are really pigmented, so just dabbing it kind of around. If you do want more pink glitter all around, feel free to add more, but I'm simply just gonna go in a little bit with just a little pink glitter to give it a nice little touch. Okay, so I do have me some pink, so nice, and nicely mixed with the red. And I have my hearts nice and mixed in as well, giving it a nice confetti look. So what I want to do now is I can begin to create that top layer. So I can take my resin bag and simply just pour more resin over. Just until we reach to the top. So we do just want to reach that nice top layer. It's beginning to mix in all around. And we basically have our first coaster complete. So I will just gently move my coaster to the side so I can bring forth my love coaster. And from here, what I want to do is I can put my other accessories to the side and bring forth my accessories for the love coasters. And the steps will be the same. I'm going to prep the two powders. The only difference is that with this coasters, these are powders rather than glitters. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently prep. And these powders are extremely pigmented. So if you do want more of a lighter shade, a lighter color, I do recommend taking some of the powder out and putting it to the side. And from here, I'm going to take a clean popsicle stick and mix them. Just until we get a nice mixture, nice and soft, a little bit gooey, just a little mixture here. And I'm going to do the same thing for my next powder. So now what we can do is we can take our gold sheet or gold flakes and using a scissor or using your hands, we can begin to simply just crumble it up to begin to break the gold pieces apart. So you can use your hands or you can use a scissor, but we're simply just crumbling it up to break the gold pieces apart. or if you already have gold flakes. And what I want to do now is that I just want to take my gold flakes and place them right inside. And I'm not going to worry too much about location just yet. I can use the tweezers to be more precise with the gold flakes. So I'm just placing them nice and gently right inside. Resin does get a little sticky, so it is okay if it gets sticky to your gloves. So I have my gold flakes. I'm gonna set some aside to use a little later on. But from now, I can take my tweezers or a popsicle stick and I can begin to really adjust the gold flakes to where I want them to be. I can begin to break them apart even more if I wanted to do so. But if you do like the effect of if we have this coaster and you see we have some gold flakes on top, but then at the bottom we also have some gold flakes as well that show. It looks really beautiful. So if you do like this effect of the larger gold flakes, definitely you are free to leave the pieces larger. But just know that each coaster will come out different as the resin will shift throughout. So I have my gold flakes here. I do like them more towards the middle. I'm just going to place them like this. Now, in this next step, we're simply just going to do the same process where we're going to go in with our powders. So with our love coaster, we do have some white on the outer edges, some pink in the middle. So I'm going to repeat that same step of putting the white powder more towards the outer parts and putting the pink powder towards the middle. So I'm just going to start with my white. And from here, just go towards the edges, getting inside of those little edge marks. And you can go in and mix in with your popsicle stick. And this will continue to shift and move on its own. So no pressure. And I'll just go in with some more towards this side. And I can mix them around. Okay, so I have my white powder. And then I'm just going to go in with some pink powder and pull it towards the middle. And feel free to do a certain design, just spreading it around the gold flakes. Kind of merging it a little bit with the white. And I'm just going to leave it like that because these powders are really pigmented. So I do just want to leave a nice little lighter shade. And then from here, if you wanted to, you can sprinkle more gold flakes on top. But from this part, we are pretty much done with our love coaster as well. The only last step that we would do is simply just add a last layer to it. But from here, we're pretty much done with our coasters. I will just add that top and final layer, taking some of my resin and just going from top to bottom until my entire coaster is covered. So we just want to ensure that the coaster is reaching the top. So we'll just try to get as much resin as possible out of the bag. So from here, both of our coasters are complete. So we have our nice love coaster and we have our beautiful Be Mine coaster as well. So, like I mentioned before, these will take 24 hours to cure. I do recommend leaving them exactly where you kind of have been working at, or if you do have to move them, you can just gently pick them up, put them on a tray, and move them where they have to go. Please remember that the accessories might begin to shift, and that's perfectly okay. Every resin coaster may come out differently, but after this, we pretty have much our last step. I will see you guys in 24 hours to kind of show you guys how the resin coasters have turned out and how to take them out of the mold. But until then, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day and thank you for watching.